Hey guys, welcome to my lesson on the flam. So the flam is obviously one of our traditional rudiment patterns. To all intents and purposes, a flam is relatively simple to understand, but often can be quite challenging to execute. So let me just go over the fundamental principles of what a flam is. So it has two notes. You have your main note. Let's say that's our main note, that's our accent, whatever. And then we have a note that precedes it, which is what we refer to as our grace note. So it's a lower dynamic note. So if I was to play a flam, it's going to sound like this. I'll do that again. One more time. So while we only have two notes in this rudiment, the really important thing is the spacing. So what we don't want to do when we play the flam is to play it like it has some sort of rhythmical value. For example, we don't want to go 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1. That's not a flam, that's just a couple of notes in a rhythmical sequence. A flam is where you have your grace note, that pre-note before your main note, that's very close to the main note. And what that does is it gives you a very specific type of sound. It kind of thickens up that note. So instead of having this, you get this. So you can hear that it thickens the sound of the note. So what we need to do now is we need to practice getting that spacing right. So remember, we don't want it too wide, so it sounds like this. But then we don't want it too closed in, so then it sounds like a unison. Both are not a flam. So a flam is getting that note really close to the main note, but enough space so that it sounds good. And this is what it should sound like. So hopefully you can see that I have one note that is lower in volume, the preceding note, the grace note, and also the main note, which is slightly more accented on the downbeat. So first thing we have to do is practice just getting the spacing right and making sure that our flams sound good. So pick whichever hand you want to lead with, it doesn't matter, right or left, and then you're just going to see if you can get a good flam. Just focusing on the sound, the spacing, etc. Okay, something else worth mentioning here is that when we talk about flams, when we talk about, like, say, right-handed flams, left-handed flams, what we're referring to is the main note of that flam. So we're not talking about the grace note which precedes it. So for example, in a right-handed flam, it's going to be the right hand is the main note and the left hand is the grace note that precedes it. So it's going to be this. And that is a right-handed flam. This is my right hand. When we talk about left-handed flam, it's exactly the same thing. So here's the left hand, that's going to be our main note, and then our right hand is going to be playing the grace note preceding it. Okay, so the first exercise we're going to look at is just playing alternating flams. So what's going to happen here is we're going to play a right-handed flam, followed by a left-handed flam, and then we're just going to keep that going. So again, to begin with, I would suggest just doing this very slowly, just look at the mechanics of the hands. We're not dealing with technique here, so we're not going to talk about the strokes and blah, blah, blah. But so just work that out for yourself for the time being. But it's going to look like this. Right, take your time, left, right, left. And then what we can do is, once you've done that, and you've kind of got a little bit comfortable with that, then you're going to put the click on, 60 beats per minute, and then we're going to play alternating flams, right, left, etc. 2, 3, 4. Okay, next lesson, we're going to look at just playing the flams in the right hand only. Now you should be probably already familiar with this when you're testing out playing the flams. So now we're just going to put it to a click at 60 beats per minute. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so our next lesson is going to involve playing the same right-handed flam, but then we're going to put a left hand in between this. So it's going to look like this if I do this very slowly. Flam, tap. And if I do that again, flam, tap. We're going to put this in time. So it's now going to go flam, tap, flam, tap, flam, tap, flam, tap. Let's try this with a metronome. So remember, with any of these exercises, if they feel too fast, just slow them down and work your way up to getting them at the tempos that are suggested. So in this case, they're all going to be 60 beats per minute. Okay, so next exercise, we're going to look at the left-hand flam. So the same thing that we did with the right. You're now just going to play left-handed flams in a row. Pretty straightforward to understand, so let's do this with 60 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so next exercise, same as the right, we're going to take our left hand flam and we're now going to play a tap stroke with the right hand in between. You already know how this works, so I'm just going to put the click straight on and we're going to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it, guys. That is the flam. Okay, so those are some introductory exercises to get you going. Again, just to reiterate, really focus on the quality of the sound of the flam. That's the really important bit. Oh, one other thing just to mention is that even though the way I've demonstrated the flam is the sort of like the classical approach, where you have your grace note that's very low and then you have your main note which is accented. And we can often, if we're playing in a style such as rock, for example, both those notes could be the same volume. So for example, the spacing still stays the same, so you have your note just before your main note, but we can often treat both those notes the same. Just something else for you to bear in mind. Great, guys, so I hope you enjoyed that lesson. That's the flam. I suggest you practice it, get it down, focus on the quality of the sound and the spacing, etc., and enjoy. And I'll see you next lesson.